If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait. If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait.
Welcome back and welcome in. This is another episode of If You Ain't a Gator, part of the Stadium and Gale Network. I'm super excited for this week. We get to see. It feels like to me like we're going to see like a brand new offense. I don't know how true that's going to be, but I think it's going to feel different, or at least I'm going to make it feel like it's going to feel different. Yeah, we got Dylan back again. Super hyped about this. What is your expectations for the Florida-Georgia game?
No expectations. Just go
That's
in
what I
there,
like.
let's play free, and let's just try to upset them.
Yeah.
Just play like we're having fun, man. Like I'm gonna go in there and just try to enjoy myself at the game. We got tickets to go. Don't know if you're going or not. May hit a few tailgates before, but going in there with no expectations, which is the first Florida Georgia game that I've done that before. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think about, because if you look at the remainder of this season, but just going to like the Georgia game, right? I'm not like intimidated by them. They don't look like this juggernaut of a team that is going to just dog walk us. Could they do that? Yeah, but I'm not going into it thinking that. I think that we have the firepower to be able to score. I definitely think that this is not your typical Georgia defense that we're used to. I don't know if that's Muschamp leaving the organization or what the deal is, but it just doesn't feel like that Georgia defense. Like I said, all this stuff could come back to bite me. No pun intended, since we're playing the Dogs. But I don't know. I guess this isn't a team that I'm like really fearful of, and I think that we could hang with them. I think as long as we don't, shoot ourselves in the foot, I think we can hang with them and put up some points on them. So I'm excited to see that. I think that our O-line can match up with their pass rush, which doesn't seem real intimidating. I think that DJ is going to be able to throw to multiple receivers now instead of having, 12 personnel out there. We'll have 11 personnel. And so I'm excited I'm really excited for this game. Like you said, there's no expectations. There's no stress. Billy G has no stress. Just go out there and let's just play some football and have fun with it and see what happens,
Yeah, this is going back and just kind of rewatching some of the games that Georgia's played this year. This is probably not their most talented team with like the lowest ceiling or the lowest floor that they've had in a couple of years. But it's a team that's well coached, a team that's not going to make mistakes, a quarterback that is not going to go out there and beat the brakes off of you, but he's not going to lose the game for you.
Yeah.
So, I think it'll be a tough test. I mean, always playing in Jacksonville against them is going to be a tough test, but I think we got a real shot to hang in with any team this year. So,
yeah. That's what I'm excited for, man. It's just, I think that, and it's got to be tough for Georgia because of going into the bye week. I think they know that there's athletes on this team. Anybody that looks at this team, they know that there's athletes over there. So it's kind of the unknown. Like, what are they going to throw at us? Are they going to try to run Jaden Ball, 75 times this game? Or are they going to put the ball in the air more? Like, they have no idea what to plan for. This is technically now a Billy G team. And you never know what he's going to tell his OC. Like, this is what I'd like to throw at them. Let's try to cook this up and work this up. Now, I will say it could get a little bit weird if Vernell Brown isn't playing, Aiden Mizell's not playing. Like, then we're getting into the trenches we're getting into the deeper part of our receiving core. And so we'll see who's healthy. We might have to trot two tight ends out there, every single drive. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I think this is the first time in, I'd say, probably 3 years that I haven't went into a Florida Gators game stressed out of my mind. So I told myself with these last few weeks, like even with Billy, I'm like, I'm just going to go into it with whatever mindset. and then still I get drawn back in. But now it's just like we know Billy Gonzalez is not going to be our coach next season, so let's just go into it, have some fun, and let's just try to ruin some seasons. Why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of forgot there was a game this week.
Yeah,
All this coaching stuff going on, you just get caught up in, who's going to be our next coach. Is Lane going to sign an extension? Is he going to go to LSU? All these different types of things. And you just kind of forget that there's, how many more games left to play? 5?
Yeah,
So,
5 games left.
So, it's funny because, at the start of the season, that's all you think about is the games. And now we've gotten to a point where we just don't care. So I think this is the first season I've kind of ever been like that.
Yeah, I agree. And that's it's kind of sad, to be honest with you. It really is. It's kind of sad to go into it and be like, this is what it's kind of come down to, is that I try to take it just moments at a time, but it's hard because you are ready for next season. You are ready for something new, something fresh. And I think it is hard to get that feeling of something new and something fresh when the same coaches that have been in the facility are still there. Not that I'm like necessarily like, oh, I want whoever to come in and clean house. But it still is. We're in this season that now it's such a sour taste. It's such just it sucks. We had such high expectations for this season, and now we're at where we're at. And so it's just kind of like you said, it's hard to even think that, oh my, like there's a football game we got to play. And then 4 more after that. Like we have 5 straight weeks of Gators football now. There's no more bye weeks. So I guess, try to enjoy it. But it's hard with all the coaches talk. It's hard with all of that lingering out there. So we'll talk a little bit on the Georgia game. This is, for anyone that's in here right now, it's going to be a little shorter episode tonight. It's just hard coming off of a bye week to have a whole lot to talk about. But what are your keys to victory from just what you've seen from Georgia? What is your expectation? Like what, not expectations, what is your keys to victory against Georgia?
Yeah, I think offensively, I think their strength, and it's been their strength for a couple of years now, is their tight end play. I think they got 2 good tight ends in Lucky and Delp. And I think that's kind of what we've struggled with the past couple of years is mobile quarterbacks and like good tight end play. So I think if we can limit that, put some pressure on Gunnar Stockton and make him try and beat us. And I think DJ's got to play a clean game. Like, when's the last time he's played a full clean game?
Yeah,
it's been like a good game. Like he can put up yards, he can put up some numbers, but he's got to put a clean game together. We got to get him a rushing touchdown too. He has played way too much, and he's way too mobile to have never scored a rushing touchdown in his career so far. Yeah. So I think we don't have to make it too complicated. I think we got to give the ball to our bell cow. We got to give it to Jaden Ball a bunch. And I think we got to spread it out. I think we should not see – I'd be happy if we saw 1 tight end on the field the entire game. We should not have our least recruited room be the most used room during the entire game. So, yeah, it's all the little things that we've been saying for every single game this year. We just need a new guy calling the plays. We've been in every single game. Just need a new guy calling the plays. And, I'm super curious to see what O'Hara draws up.
Yeah. And from what I've heard about the orange and blue game, I think we might be able to see, a little something out there. Now, I will say I don't want you're right, Hamster. I really should spot the ball off here. But it's looking at this game, I think that, again, if DJ doesn't have to run, I'm okay with it. I don't want him to have to run if he doesn't have to. I don't want to risk injury, especially, PTSD from last year. And I will say I feel a lot more confident in if he goes down with who's behind him compared to who was behind him last year. I think that Tramel Jones, that's a different beast to ask Tramel to come in and play against Georgia rather than if it was like to come in against USF because DJ wasn't getting it done. But I definitely want to see us take shots. I think that if we cannot move their safeties back, if we can't push their safeties into a deeper set and they're just playing shallow the whole game and we're not taking advantage of that, that's fine if you want to kind of work that in to where it's like, okay, the first quarter we're gonna try to bring those safeties up and then you want to take the shot. Like, I'm not saying first play of the game we need to put Dallas Wilson on a go and put it over the top. You can work that in, but I want to see at some points of the game, let's see DJ put the ball down there. If he overthrows it, he overthrows it. If he throws a pick, he throws a pick. Whatever. We're at where we're at with the season now. Let's just try to play upset. Let's expose the DBs. Let's try to keep DJ back there and expose their pass rush and show that it is what it is this year. And honestly, let's force Gunnar Stockton to do what we did to Carson Beck last year. Let's put him in bad spots and make him throw picks. I think that Cormani's starting to feel himself with finding a knack towards the ball. And I think he could be what Aaron Gates was for us last year, just being around the ball and grabbing him a couple. But we're just beat up, man. We're real beat up. Devin Moore being hurt, Aaron Gates being hurt, Dijon Johnson being hurt. Like, man, we're just getting into the part of it where it's like, honestly, I don't really care what you do with play calling or any of that. It gets to a point where it's like, okay, pretty soon we're going to have D linemen out there playing freaking, playing DB because we ain't got no depth left. But yeah, that's what I want to see. Truly, that's just what I want to see us put the ball in the air. I want to see us run the ball. I want Jaden Ball. However many runs we do this game, I want to see Jaden Ball get 80% of those touches. Point blank, period. I don't know what the injury list is going to say, but I want to see Jaden Ball get 80 to 85% of those touches.
Yeah.
So,
and I kind of want to see some of the new guys that we saw last week at safety too. I mean, thought they played better than 1-4, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're headhunters out there. I liked what I saw out of Lagonza. And man, Alfonso Allen did not play bad either.
Yeah.
So, total shock there.
Yeah, I mean as much as we want to hate on Napier, and it's real easy to hate on him, and it does suck because he decided to hire a strength and conditioning coach that was his friend instead of going and getting like a big dog in the industry. He's got depth there, so we are seeing these guys, but I think we are starting to get down to and not to knock on them, but Grimsley was just getting toasted, and bad. So if those receivers from Mississippi State are doing that, Zachariah Branch is going to absolutely just put the burners on. So we got to make sure that we can contain that. Like you said, I want to see Lagans out there. I want to see the young bucks out there at safety, not letting stuff get over top. These guys that are hungry for that spot. I think that Castell got kind of complacent with this spot. He kind of knew it's mine. He knew that Billy wasn't going to make a switch or let them make a switch. So let's put the young bucks out there and let them go out there and try to play for that spot. Let's see how hungry they really are. But we're gonna see some depth. I'm scared to death to see that injury list tomorrow night. I have no idea who's going to be on it, but I feel like it's going to be a mile long.
Yeah, it'll definitely be pretty long.
And outside of just like actual injuries, I feel like there might be people that just redshirt. Like, it wouldn't shock me. I hope Dallas Wilson plays. I think he's a key factor, and I think any other receiver, like going into the depth chart, I think that he draws all the attention. So then you have other guys that can ball. I'd like to see Jackson back out there. I'd like to see that, just the weird 22 jersey number. I think that he's been cleared to go. I just don't think we've put him in there. But, he's the one dude that he may not catch an in route. He may not catch a slant route, but you put that ball out there in a weird way, he'll somehow find a way to one-hand snag it. Throw him out there. Let's just have fun with it, honestly. Sling the ball around. Let DJ sling it around. I think that he got tired of just kind of being put into a box by Billy. Let's unlock it. Let's see if he still has that deep ball accuracy that he had last year. Let's see if he has it this year and see what he can do with it. That's what I want to see. Let's put the ball in there and let's see what we can do with it. But moving forward from that, just kind of touching on the remainder of the season, like we just talked about, 5 games left. We know Georgia's coming up, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. What is your expectation? I know you said no expectations, but if you just had to pick a record, how many we win, how many we lose, what are you thinking? What are we looking at out of your mindset, just the remainder of the season?
I think, it's going to be hard for me to go into any game thinking that we're going to lose, but interim coach, how many injuries we have, how the season's went so far. Do I think they'll be motivated? Probably not. What are we playing for at the very end? This is a 6 or 7 win team. You know, 6 or 7 win team. I could also see it be worse than that too. So,
yeah.
What are we now? We're 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
3-4. So, giving us another 4 wins out of how many games? 5.
So
probably not. I'd say 5 or 6 wins this year because we still got Ole Miss. I think we'll beat. I think we have a chance of beating Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida State. Ole Miss will be hard, and then this game this weekend will be hard too.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to be hard just because all the chatter that's out there on social media about just Lane coming to us. I think that they're going to try to pack that stadium out. You know, that high school stadium that they got. They're going to try to
run it up too. They're going to try to run up the score for sure.
Yeah, and I think the way our defense has played, again, I hope that we can go into there without any more injuries. That's my concern. That's my fears. I'm just like, man, how injured are we going to get? And I stand by this, and people are probably going to disagree with me, and it's fine if you do. There's one win left. There's one game left on this schedule that I'm like, please just go get the dub. Please. If that means we have to lose the next 4 to win that 5th one and beat Florida State, I'm fine with it. That's fine. But go beat Florida State. Do not let Florida State come into our house and be able to plant a flag on our Gatorhead. Do not let them tear up our field. I don't want none of that. None of it. Because you know it's going to be all over social media. So I need Billy G to realize that this 12 years he's been at this university, that's the one you got to defend. You got to go in there and you got to make those boys defend the swamp. But yeah, I guess my expectations, I think I see 2 wins. I see us beating Kentucky. I see us beating Florida State. Like I don't see that being necessarily a problem. I try to stop talking with my hands because I feel like I'm Billy Napier when I do that, but it's a habit. But I see those being 2 wins. I could see us beating Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee's like all that scary. I think that they have a good deep ball. And I think that if you look at the way we played against Texas, the way we played against Mississippi State, they're not missing that deep ball. It's not going to happen. Like they're pinpoint accurate with that thing. So that I think could cause a problem with us is just getting into like a scoring race with them. And I just don't think with the injuries, I don't think we can. But again, I'll be honest with you, I think if we have 3 wins, if that's what you tell me that like you get 3 wins out of these 5, I think that we beat Georgia this weekend. I think we beat Kentucky, and I think we beat Florida State and lose to Ole Miss and Tennessee. Again, I think if I want to beat Ole Miss and I want to beat Florida State. Those are 2 that I'm like, please, like let's get it done. But I just don't see it. But yeah, again, like we just talked about at the beginning of this, I don't have a whole lot of expectations. It's just wants. I'd love to go win the next 5 because I cannot cheer, now especially we ain't got anybody to fire. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's just go out there and have fun. And please, 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 for all that is holy, please let these boys stay healthy. Because I'm so tired of this injury list being as long as a dictionary. Like I'm just sick of it. But yeah, this is kind of off of, what we planned. If you had to pick only 2 wins you get out of the next 5, which 2 do you want?
Georgia and Florida State.
Okay.
For sure.
Georgia and Florida State.
Yeah. Being at the stadium last year for the Florida Georgia game just refueled my hatred for Georgia and just reaffirmed everything that I've already believed my entire life that, man, I really hate Georgia. Like
Yeah.
I really want to beat these guys so bad.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got to beat Florida State. So
Yeah.
I hate losing to Tennessee too, but I mean, if I had to choose between Georgia and Tennessee, I'm gonna choose Georgia.
Yeah. If I have to pick two, like just for the discussion, I'd have to pick Ole Miss and Florida State. Like I want to beat Ole Miss. I think that it would be a bad loss for them. And I think a lot of people would look at that. Like I think you'd see Twitter or X would blow up and like, oh, like he lost to Billy G, and it's like, no, he just lost to better athletes. Like it's just there's better athletes on Florida. We have the better roster. We're gonna have the better roster next year. The recruiting speaks for itself here. I think that's one that I'm like, and honestly though, like it's just something that looks at, I'm like, that hurts their chances. And it shows me that they won't go deeper into the playoffs. Like I don't want them to get into the SEC championship and have a chance to get that first round bye. Like I want them playing the first round. Because I think no matter what, unless they lose to us and say accidentally lose one to Mississippi State.
Or South Carolina.
Yeah. I don't see it happening. I don't. I think they're going to be in that first round. I would like them to lose a couple so that they're still in that first round, that, you know, they end up with a later, like a further back seat, so they're having to play at somebody else's home. It's all just wishful thinking. I don't even know if Lane's coming, but yeah, those are two I'd like. But
yeah,
again, let's just 5-0 it. Let's let people randomly chatter about some reason Billy G being our head coach, which is not going to happen.
Let's get into that really quick. Man, I've been thinking these past couple of days, it's weird. Obviously, Lane's my top choice, but it's weird. Like, there's a part of me that wants to grab somebody like James Franklin. I know me and you have been talking about how he's kind of going up for us a little bit on our list. Wants me to, like, a part of me wants us to go ahead and grab James Franklin so we don't wait around for Kiffin to just troll us. And Franklin's already taken, say he went to Arkansas or wherever, and we've just kind of waited around and we're just left with, with what's left. So that's the part that scares me. Also too, like the part that I like about getting him in is he can go ahead and get all his affairs in order. He can kind of hit that first transfer portal that's like really big instead of Lane missing it and only catching the one that, the players are allowed to leave 5 days after they hire them. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. But I mean, a part of me is really not wanting to wait around. Like, when is too long? I know that you have to wait if you feel like you have a good chance, but
yeah,
I feel like if there's a chance that there's a good chance you feel like you're going to miss on him, you gotta go a different way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I know where you're coming from. Here's what I would say is that if how do I want to go with this? I think that you gotta you want him as your coach. Like the boosters know who they want. I think Scott Strickland has obviously kind of made it known from kind of the here and there talks that that's who he's going after and that's who he's going to really put the pedal to the metal to. No matter what, like it doesn't matter if the writing's on the wall and that's going to be our coach next year. You got to wait until the season's over. The only thing I would say is that you got to force something when it comes to the administration, when it comes to just Scott Strickland, the boosters, the board of trustees, all of that. You got to make them sign something. Like you got to jump on the PJ. You got to fly up there and make him sign the dotted line and just, okay, you sign the contract that when this season's over, whether you make it to the national championship and win it all, whatever. And I would just put in that contract that if you're not available as of this date, we are allowed to announce you as the next head coach of the University of Florida. So that way that the recruits know who's coming, the players know who's coming, so that interest boosts there. Because you got to kind of do that. I see what you're saying. Like you got to do something. You cannot wait because it is Lane Kiffin. And as much as everybody's like, oh, well, he's matured, he's done this, he's still a troll. And to be brutally honest with you, we still play Ole Miss next season. So why would he not, if his whole plan is to stay at Ole Miss, why would his whole plan not be like take us to the very last second to where he could then screw us over and we end up with some random, and then he still continues on at Ole Miss? Like that's playing chess. Like, no, at some point you got to force him to sign something, and we got to stop playing this whole Twitter back and forth. Like, I want Lane. I stand on that. That's 100% how I believe it. But at some point, you got to just stamp it and say, okay, like, listen, Lane, we're willing to make you the highest paid coach by this much. We're willing to do this much for you in NIL. We're willing to do all of this stuff for you. But if you don't do something, then we're going to have to move on. And you're going to be stuck with Ole Miss, who I personally do not think that Ole Miss, if Ole Miss goes and pays him what we're willing to pay him and divvy out what we're willing to divvy out for him, if the reports and everything is true, it's going to break that whole university. Like, that university is not just pulling money out the couch. They got to find it from somewhere, and it's going to break them, and it's going to hurt them a lot. But yeah, I just, and Mr. Bassman said he totally disagrees. He would screw UF over. It's not necessarily screwing UF over. He hasn't told UF anything necessarily. You know, it's not like he's come out and said, like, yeah, I'm the next head coach of UF, and then boom. All he's doing is just playing a back and forth game. And if he idolizes Spurrier, you don't think that Spurrier would have done that? You don't think that Spurrier would have played games with, like, oh, I'm going to go coach LSU, knowing we play LSU every year, just to yank it back and say, like, no, like, I'm not leaving. Like, there's mind games there, and he plays them better than anybody. So I agree with what you're saying, but also a little different. I don't think that we necessarily need to go grab another coach just because we're, like, scared of it, but I think you need to put a time frame on it.
Yeah.
And just say that's fine if you make it that far. We'll allow you to keep coaching. And I also heard on, I think it was Ali Peak's show, where her and Shelton were talking, and they said you need to hire a GM who's going to kind of come in and keep players there and be able to kind of talk to recruits and kind of do that general manager role of just like, this is how much money we're willing to divvy out. I don't know.
I don't know how much that changes. I think a lot of kids want to know who they're playing for.
Yeah.
I'm sure that could help in some capacity. Man, I think it goes back to, like, Lane could also say he doesn't want to make a decision until after his season's over. So yeah. I think UF does have to put a time frame on how long they are willing to wait, because they can't get put in a hole, especially when this year, you know, they're trying to go after big fish and spend a whole lot of money. So, you know, I don't think he knows what he's going to do. I don't think Jimmy Sexton knows what he's going to do. You know, I don't think the University of Florida knows what he's going to do, but you got to put a time frame on it, because we can't get put in a bad scenario, especially with this coaching carousel that's going on in college football right now, with how many, you know, big coaching jobs are available. You know, you got LSU, Arkansas, Penn State, you know, all these big schools, and they're going to grab their guys.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's, and Lane's number one on everybody's board.
See, I'll stand by this here, though, and I've stood by this, is that we have one other thing I think we have to worry about. One other thing. I think that's if that Miami Dolphins job comes free. I think that's the only thing that I could see us having to worry about. I truly, truly believe this. And again, we can come back to this and you guys can ridicule me and beat up on me if I'm wrong. But if Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, I do not think he's going to LSU. I think that Lane Kiffin would come to Florida. I think it's just a better fit. I think that you could see LSU maybe possibly go after a Mullen and just say, hey, we're going to support you more than UF was willing to support you. I think it's pretty obvious, and, you know, that he didn't have a lot of support here when he was here. I think everyone just kind of was like, all right, this is what we're going to give you, make do. Like, go be an amazing coach or something. But I could see them going after like a Dan Mullen, or even going after a Kenny Dillingham, or there's been rumblings that they're interested in Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher is interested in that job. I could see that being a perfect match. Just making matchmaker here and taking my fandom out of it. I think Jimbo could go there and do a great job. they could probably get him at a discounted price after having to fire, Brian Kelly as much as they did. Smiley said Lincoln Riley. I think Lincoln Riley would be a perfect fit for LSU. I don't know about for us, but I just don't know if that's a risk we can take right now. But yeah, something's got to be done. Something has to be done, and it has to be done something's got to be like, okay, this is what we agreed on. Like Jimmy Sexton has to fly down and get the paperwork and take it back to him and just like, hey, you got to sign this if this is the deal we're going to work out. Like, hey, Ole Miss can't match it. I know that Lane's come out and said that money doesn't matter, but switching from that talk there, we're going to talk a dark horse. And when I say dark horse, I'm not saying that this is somebody that you necessarily want, that this is somebody that you could see pop up and it be somebody that you could see us hiring. And I guess it's something we don't know how it would play out. Just a dark horse. Who would you say?
I think for me, it is Lincoln Riley. Okay. I think that name's came up lately. He scares me. He scares me just like a ton of the other coaches. I think after you get through Lane, James Franklin, and Kenny Dillingham, the guys who are, reasonable, I think the drop off between, them and somebody like Drinkwitz or Key or Lincoln Riley, I think is significant because you're just projecting like what can these guys be. I think if you hired somebody like that, I think the smartest thing for us to do is get involved in the coordinating hires. Like the boosters get involved with, the defensive coordinator hires. I know that he held on to his guy for a while. I think his name was Grinch, something like that. He held on to his guy for a really long time. And, that's something that, Dan Mullen, we were victims of. Billy, the same thing with our two offensive line coaches. An incompetent defensive coordinator the first 2 years. So we would just need to probably get involved with that. I think good thing about Lincoln Riley is he's like Dan Mullen to me. That's what scares me about him is him and Dan Mullen are pretty similar, except I think he recruits a little bit better. And I think he may be a little bit more motivated to be back in the SEC and maybe be in a better spot than where he was at Oklahoma and be in Florida. He may be a little bit more motivated, but that's a name where I wouldn't be totally upset if we got him.
Yeah. So I'll tell you mine in a second, but I'm going to touch on what yours is. And it's just because just listening to you talk, I think that it's a way that Lincoln Riley could work. And this is anywhere. I should say the two places because I don't think any of the other, maybe Penn State might be in this. So we'll just do that. Florida, LSU, Penn State, just say Lincoln Riley. We know that he's a great offensive mind. We know that he can score. The biggest arguments with him has been defense, right? I think when it comes to him, now, number one, I'm like, in my brain, I don't know if Ron Roberts wants to coach anymore after the season, but you bring Lincoln Riley and he keeps and retains Ron Roberts and lets him keep coaching the defense. I mean, you might be cooking with something. But if it's me and I just get to play perfect matchmaker and this is exactly what's going to happen and I can just have it go JB's way. If Lincoln Riley was to come here, it'd be in his best benefit if he wants to go do the things he wants to do, win a couple of championships and be amongst the greats. I think you have to take less money. So instead of taking that, 12 million, I think you go and take 8.5, 9 million. In the grand scheme of things, if you know how to invest your money, that's not a huge difference, or take even a little less than that and go get you a great DC. Go get you somebody from the NFL and bring that DC here and put him in that place and say, okay, like you're making more money than you're making there, but we have to get you to be able to recruit and have these different guys recruit. And let's start cooking. Let's start cooking with grease here. Let's start really, putting something together. Or even the same thing with, to be honest with you, with Lane Kiffin. If he says that, if he makes that, if that's real, like, hey, It's not about the money. Okay, well, then you take a little bit less. We'll put a little bit more towards NIL and then have a little bit extra also to put towards a better defensive coordinator. Because I think your DT and Golding is decent, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold off through the playoffs. Like, I think you're going to see Golding get exposed in the playoffs. And I think that's why you see like an early exit from him. But I think they played good on Saturday against Oklahoma, but I just think Jean Mateer just after
they
that
got
surgery,
lit up by Georgia though. I mean,
yeah,
Gunnar Stockton had 5 touchdowns on him.
Exactly. So there you go. Perfect
289
example.
yards passing, 59 yards rushing. I mean, game of his life.
So here's
what about if we had Lincoln Riley in and we brought somebody back like Will Muschamp at DC?
I mean, listen, we talked about it when we were talking about the Georgia game. Muschamp leaves that facility, and what happens to that defense? That's all I'm saying. That's a great defensive mind. A great defensive mind. So I'm not mad at it.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. An amazing recruiter. I think that here's my one other thing. Lincoln is a great recruiter out in California and being at USC, but my only problem with him is that there's no real competition in who recruits out there. Yeah. You come to Florida, you're going to have competition. Miami's now a school that's still playing well. Florida State is still going to be Florida State. And at the end of the day, these kids from Florida, they grow up watching these schools. I don't care. People are like, oh, Florida State went 2-10 last year and they're doing bad this year. How are they still recruiting so well? And it's like, it's because they still have a great logo too. They have their logo holds weight just like ours. So that's why these kids haven't decommitted from us yet. They're waiting to see what we're going to do.
One thing I love about Lincoln too is Buddy's like the QB whisperer. I mean, he's got like 3 Heisman Trophy winners that he's coached. Yeah. Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, and Baker. And I mean, his guy out there this year at USC is pretty good too. So I mean, again, it's all perfect scenario, right? Like perfect scenario, him plus the DC. But that's my dark horse.
Yeah. So here's my dark horse, which I'm gonna get thrashed for this. I know I am, and I know how your reaction is gonna be before I do it. But I just want to explain myself before you guys beat up on me, please. And I'm not saying this is who I want. Okay? Are we all in agreement? Comment section, we're good? I'm not saying this is who I want. I'm just saying that this is a dark horse. And honestly, if he came and coached here, I would not be mad about it. And before anyone thinks that I got this from High Top Sports,
I know
you can go back and check. And Dylan can agree that I have said this name prior to this, is Jedd Fisch. Listen to me. Listen. This man has turned programs around. Okay? He went and took Arizona, and everyone looks at his record, and I'm like, he had a terrible Arizona team. Terrible. And turned them around and made them who they were. The Washington team, I just heard him talk. I listened to an interview today with him, and he said that when he came in there, you get, is it 82 scholarships that you're allowed? 83, I think it is. When he got to Washington, he had 41 players on scholarship. That's it. He had a quarterback who just transferred from Mississippi State who's looking around like, hey, what just happened? Like, I came to play for DeBoer, and now he's gone, and this guy, Jedd Fisch, is coming in, and now he's having to turn that around. Again, I'm not saying that this is like a top 3 on my list or somebody that I want, but I'm telling you right now, if Scott Strickland came to JB and said, hey, do you want Eli Drinkowitz or do you want Jedd Fisch? I'm picking Jedd Fisch because I think that he is the type of guy who, especially for this university, I think that you got Spurrier there. He's got someone that he looks up to. He talks about him in all of his interviews. I think he has him right there to say, hey, and what am I doing wrong? And he'll take that advice and not look at it as like how Billy did, where it's like, okay, I do no wrong. I think he could right the ship. Now, what he does with it, I don't know. But again, just looking at High Top Sports, you can go watch his episode with him and Allie. They blacked out all of it, and they did like a chart, and they showed like the different coaches and had everybody pick. And you'd be shocked how many people picked Jedd Fisch in that comment section. You'd truly be shocked because of what he did there. And you'd honestly be shocked how many less people pick Lane Kiffin just because of money wise. Again, still the Lane train over here. I agree. I think James Franklin would be a good get the more that I look into him. But I think that we're scoffing at Jedd Fisch just because of a record. And I think that people are not realizing like what trouble he took on at those two schools and is turned them around and has them doing great. And again, he has 2 losses this year, 1 to Ohio State and 1 to Michigan. And Michigan's roster is a lot more loaded than that Washington roster. So that's my dark horse. So just so we all know before people start bashing.
How far down is he on your list?
I mean, you got Lane number 1. I'd say after us talking, I'd say Lincoln's up there pretty high now. He's in the 2-3 range. James Franklin's up there. I will say I stand by it. It was on our first list that me and you did. And I saw it in the comment section. I think Cliff Kingsbury is a great one to look at, honestly. But I think that you're going to see for the Tennessee job, I think the Miami job opens up. I think that Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Brady, I think those are guys that are going to be in consideration for those jobs. But I would love for Cliff. I think he knows the college atmosphere. I think he could be good, but I just, he's on my list just for fun. But yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe 6, 5, right around there. I wouldn't say any higher, but who knows? I think that Kenny Dillingham's higher than him. I just like the thought of him more. I think that he's another one who's good with quarterbacks, but I just think that we don't give that much credit. I'm like, you got to think this man's in the Big Ten with Washington. And when you're thinking about Big Ten schools, like look at what he's recruiting against. Like truly, look what he's recruiting against. And the money's not really there. Like so the money he's working with, he ain't matching the Ohio States. He's not matching the Michigans, the Penn States. Like they're not matching that money. So what are you going to do if you go give him $20 million in NIL money? You say, here, go out into Florida. And I don't think he's to me, like I look at Drinkowitz and everybody calls him Dorkowitz. And I think that he is that way. I think he's just real nerdy and he's just kind of like, I don't know, he just does weird things. Whereas I feel like Jedd Fisch kind of exuberates confidence. That's why he's ahead of Eli for me. He's ahead of Brent Key for me. I just think he could do something. Now you bring him here, you don't have to pay him a whole lot. And go get some coordinators and go, keep some people on the roster. So again, it's just a dark horse, but yeah, he's probably like my number 5 or so.
I think since the last time we talked, I think a name that's kind of moved up for me is Brent Key. I think he's a guy who we just need to see more out of, but I think as like a last resort after you get through about 4 names, he's not a bad option.
Yeah.
Well, you want to talk about James Franklin? I know this past week, me and you, he's kind of moved up to like our number 2 spot of kind of who we'd like to get.
Yeah, you might have just moved him down to 3 for me and moved Lincoln Riley to 2 because I just started talking myself into it. It's going to be like this, and I'll be honest with you. Here's the thing, and this is very big for me, and I'm trying my hardest to do this. I really am. I'm trying to bring wrap my mind around if it's not Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
If it's not him, what is it? The Velvet Ditch that he tweeted out, and who knows? The dude is the ultimate troll. Like he really is. Everybody's like, oh, and the comment section saying that, oh, Lane wouldn't troll UF. So I'm sorry, but you're completely wrong. He will. He'll troll anybody. He doesn't care. It's just because he doesn't look at it as
school.
He trolls Ole Miss. He trolls the fan. He literally said to his own fan base that our red zone offense showed up about as good as the student section did. And you think he ain't gonna troll Spurrier and troll you? Like, come on. The thing is that Jimmy Sexton wants money. So if we're willing to pay him a lot, and I don't know what we're willing to pay him, my thing on Brent Key is, just touching on that for a second, I want to see his team without Haynes King. Just like I want to see Clark Lee without Diego Pavia. You know, it's been proven. Look at Gus Malzahn. What, Gus has one natty, right? I believe Gus has one natty, and it's because he had one of the greatest college players of all time on his team. And I'm not saying that Diego Pavia is like that, but again, I think that if you go back to when like Johnny Manziel was at Texas A&M, right? And they would have got into a 12-team playoff. The team that they had, Mike Evans, they would have made it to a 12-team playoff. And that's the same thing here. I want to see I just want to see what happens when they don't have that quarterback. And again, with Brent Key, it's been talked about on here. It's been talked about on other shows. Does he bring his OC or does his OC stay at Georgia Tech? Georgia Tech is liking that they score points. Do they hire him and just say, hey, you're the guy, you continue calling plays, hire the rest? But I'm trying to put myself in that mindset because I think that a lot of Gators fans are just setting themselves up for something we don't know. We're not a part of these negotiations, and it's just we don't know where it's going to go from there. So also, Smiley, I don't know if Jedd Fisch isn't interested. I'm sure he is. I mean, he's been known to jump around. But see, here's my thing again. You and I talked about this. Lane Kiffin and Jedd Fisch are both in the same mindset to me that I'm like, if they have a couple of good years, right? If they have a couple of good years, or say year 2, Lane comes in and wins a national championship with UF, does he then dip for a NFL job? Like, that is a concern. Like, it is a very big concern. Do we have him for long, or do we have, if one of those jobs comes calling? How do you feel about that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Now you're back.
Okay. Did you hear what I said, or you want me to say it again?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that you'll deal with every year with Lane, and unfortunately, he's never going to make you feel, good about it either. He's never going to just say, "Hey guys, I'm here to stay." Yeah. I think there's a part of me that feels like if he comes and I think a national championship's in his future, no matter where he goes. To be honest, I think there's a part of him that probably wants to like chase somebody like Saban and like keep winning, see how much he can win, build a legacy at one place. I feel like that is a part of him. Mm-hmm. But, I feel like he could also be a guy that's always chasing a high. Like he could also, be a person that bounces around. He could go to the NFL, may not work out, could come back. Like, it's going to be a thing every year with him, and we're just never going to know where he stands. So that's, I mean, I told you that's what scares me about him. Like, yeah, we can get him, but is he a rental? Like, or is he like a 1 or 2 year rental?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I stand by it. If Lane Kiffin comes for a couple of years to UF, I'm cool with it because it's going to be more fun and more exciting than we've had the last, I'd say the last eventful time we had is when Dan Mullen had us in the SEC championship. But even if he does come for a couple years, like that's fine. But I see a lot of people saying like, oh, Lane won't do this, Lane won't do that. And it's like, we don't know that. Like, you don't know that. You have no idea what how Lane Kiffin's going to do. I will say I do disagree with one thing you said. I don't think Lane Kiffin can win a national championship at Ole Miss. Not unless he somehow pulls in a player such as like a Cam Newton or someone that just takes him on that 1 year run. My thing is, okay, maybe he does have that one-off year, like say this year, but I just don't see it. Like, I don't see them competing with an Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon. Like, I don't see him competing with those teams because those are teams that are like that. This Ohio State team is just built for it. The Bama team looks good. I mean, honestly, and everyone's like, oh, well, they barely beat South Carolina. I don't care. It's SEC. It's hard games every single week. But if you look at that Ole Miss, I don't think Ole Miss will be able to afford players to be able to get the job done. I don't see it, and I don't think that Lane will be able to. If Lane takes an extension, like if Lane takes more money for himself at Ole Miss, I then don't think that they can continue to pay coordinators. And I don't personally see him, and they pay him more. That's coming out of someone's pocket, and that's going to come out of NIL, and they don't have a huge booster program there. So I just personally don't see him winning one there. I think that this is how I stand on it with him. If he wants to win multiple championships and he wants to be up there with like the Kirby Smarts and not or in that same tree of like being on those Alabama guys where he's not like embarrassing himself, you go to Florida or even go to LSU. I don't want him to go to LSU. I think that's a terrible fit there. I do not think those LSU fans would put up with his I don't know, his trolling that he does like we would. I don't even know if we'd put up with it. I think we would, and I think we're agreeing to it, but I don't know that we would be okay with that. Especially like if we go have a close game against like a Washington State. I don't know that we'd be okay with him talking the way he does, but that's neither here nor there. But I think if he wants to win multiple championships, you go to one of the two. UF or LSU. I just don't see him getting it done, and I stand on it. Honestly, I actually think, to be honest with you, I think you could see what Indiana is Big Ten. So Big Ten championship, say it's Indiana, Ohio State. I'm trying to think how that would work. If he gets either of them in the first round, which I don't think he will. I don't think that'd add up. But I just see him getting bounced unless he plays like a BYU. I think if he gets a BYU, that's a very easy first round, or like a Memphis or whatever the G5 school is. That's where we don't want him to match up.
I think I agree with you that if Lane leaves, it's got to be for Florida. I think a lot of this national media just doesn't really understand the ties that he has to the Florida program. Also, too, just like thinking about, just the two jobs in general, about which one may be more attractive. I mean, LSU has fired, coaches who have won national championships or have been really successful. And, if you're a bad coach at LSU, they eat you alive. I mean, that's like the only like real school they have in Louisiana. And Florida. I mean, you saw what we did with Billy Napier. I mean, you gotta feel if Lane feels secure about his job at Ole Miss, which probably that attracts, him staying, that he feels secure about his job at Ole Miss. He's probably got to feel pretty secure about coming to UF too. And there's probably going to be something in the contract that'll make him feel even better as well. But the way that we held on to Billy Napier these past couple of years, I think that may be a plus for future coaches that come in, because they say, hey, man, we're not going to give up on you.
Yeah. I think I know this sounds crazy, but this is my thing. I think that both jobs I think they're right here with each other. I mean, they're tied for being amazing jobs, but you got to look at it from a few different points, right? LSU the past few years, like especially like last year, they had to restructure their whole defense through the transfer portal. And their defense is good, but you can come to Florida, and if you win 9 games your first year, 9 games, you win your first year, you're going to be holy grail to the University of Florida. You go to LSU where they're replacing a coach who is winning. Yeah, like maybe not this year. And that's just because the SEC is hard. Like it's just a tough atmosphere to be. It's tough to win games week in and week out there. That's why it is like shout out to Lane. He is getting the job done. Like, he lost to Georgia, but it is what it is. We'll see if he gets the SEC championship and plays a Bama or an A&M. Let's see how that goes. But that's why to me the Florida job is better, and it sucks to say that. Like it's kind of embarrassing to say that, but I'm like, in all reality, the expectations aren't that high coming here. You come in next season, I mean, you're starting 2-0. I could go coach us to 2-0 with this roster against the something Camels, but you automatically know you're starting out 2-0. I think the schedule is somewhat favorable. And I personally, it sounds terrible too, but I think that if you go get Lane Kiffin, I think that Ole Miss, a lot of those players come with you, and that Ole Miss job becomes kind of crappy again, and it's not the same roster that you had there. So that's why I think it's more of like it's just it's a better looking job because you have less pressure, and like you said, we gave Billy Napier 4 years, well, 3.5 years, but we're willing to let him go for his 4th year. But
I think too, like you're going to get more control over the entire program at Florida, and they're going to give you more reins. Whereas LSU has the governor stepping in.
Yeah,
like they're going to have, like you just know, they're going to have control over their program, and they're going to put a head coach in place, and they're going to not give him as much of a lease or as much of a reins as you would at Florida. Like they're going to give you the keys to the kingdom and let you do kind of what you want to do. And they're going to give you as much support, like what they're saying they're going to do, as possible. So to me, because of that, like trying to be as unbiased as possible, it's a better job. I think where you could argue LSU is a better job, I think it's because of the recent success they've had in probably the last 10, 15 years as opposed to Florida. So.
Yeah. If I'm just playing, again, just matchmaker, I actually think Kenny Dillingham would be perfect for LSU. I do. I don't know why, but I feel like he would be absolutely perfect there. I almost think that you could see James Franklin fitting there more than he would fit at Florida better too. I think they're used to they kind of like that Coach O and like that kind of tough-nosed football, go get the job done. Like, yeah, they have great receivers there, and they did through the Joe Brady coaching that offense. But I think that you go get a Dillingham or a Franklin. I think that's a perfect fit. But I think that Florida is just looking for, see, that's perfect right here. This is a perfect. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Well, if I could show it. Okay. Oh, wrong one. This one right here. Just want to be entertained. That is what Florida fans are looking for. And I think that's why, as the athletic director and the board of trustees, and I think the boosters are like that too. I think the boosters, that's why they put so much money into this, is they don't put money into this to get pissed off every week. You want to go get entertained. You want to be in every single game. You want to be in the limelight. You want all of that stuff. You want to put on a show. And that's why I don't care. Like, if you get into a bidding war, I know that Napier said, like, I'm not going to get in a bidding war for a player. You got to get in a bidding war for Lane. Like, I'll pay Lane Kiffin $20 million a year right now to come. That ain't my money. It's the boosters' money. Like, everybody's like, well, how are we going to pay him that? Why do you care? It ain't coming out of your pocket. Like, it is what it is. So you go spend the money and let's just get it done. But yeah, that, I don't know. I hope we don't get down to my dark horse, but if we do, I won't be on here getting angry about it. I will be angry.
Support whoever we get.
Unless it's Eli
I'm confident with the brand and also what seems like the commitment that we're going to make this year for a coaching hire, that at the very end of it, we're not going to make that bad of a choice.
Yeah. And
I don't think we're going to go through. I don't think they're really going to go through 4 names. I think they may land at number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Depending on what their 2 or 3 is.
Here's another good comment. Entertainment sells. You want to know why that's like a perfect comment? Because if you go get Lane, right? If you go get Lane, I don't care what game it is. Again, playing the freaking Camels next year, and whoever that is, that if Lane Kiffin's the head coach, we'd probably hang 100 on him. But if you go get him, you can charge more per ticket for the games because people are going to be willing to pay it. I would be willing to pay a little bit more. Like you uprate. Okay, well, I'm sitting up here in section 17, row 85. And last year I paid $60 for it, but now this year for the same game, I got to pay $95 for it. I don't care. I'm going to pay it because I know I'm going to go be entertained. I'm going to go see great football. I'm going to see great offense. I'm going to see that ball get put in the end zone instead of watching just this crap that we've been watching. Like, that's why it's easier. Like, that's why you go spend that money, because you got to spend money to make money. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it. But that's going to be it for us today. Like this before you leave, like the video, share the video. If you're not subscribed, I've been looking at the analytics of this, and it says that 77.6% of people that watch this are not subscribed, and only the 22 point some percent are. So if you're not, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, share this to everybody, get them to subscribe. And yeah, let's just keep this growing, keep it going. And yeah, smash the like button before you get out of here. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We will be back again next Tuesday talking about us beating them dogs. I'm actually surprised that a Georgia fan that's normally in here wasn't in here. But that's all we got for you today. As always, it's Go Gators. Always rep the orange and blue. And you guys know how we end it. You know how it is. If you ain't a Gator, y'all know the rest.